Hi, everybody. Welcome. Today we'll be exploring a team of muscles called the deep front line. These muscles don't get a lot of attention because you can't see them. And as we awaken them and help them to work in unison, we should start to feel lighter, more supported, more buoyant. And so we'll explore that through our poses together today. Um, with that, we'll begin on our backs. So you can turn to face your chair. So you should be turning to the left. And then scooch towards the chair so that the thighs are relatively perpendicular to the earth. It doesn't have to be perfect. Being comfortable is the most important thing. And then once you have found your supported rest pose, check in with the sacrum. Make sure the pelvis feels supported. You can even wiggle the sacrum around a little bit to make sure it's symmetrical. Start to scan the spine. And if you notice a large arch in the low back, of course, some rounding is natural there, but see if you can lengthen through the spine. Take a couple of deep breaths and just imagine a little bit more space between each vertebra. Bring one hand, let's say your right hand to your belly, left hand to your heart. Tuck the chin a little bit, letting the back of the neck lengthen as the whole rest of the spine did. And once you find a supported, comfortable position, start to drop into stillness. And begin to notice the breath flow. And allow the hands to offer feedback on the front of the body, expanding and contracting with each smooth, natural, full breath. Allow your awareness to expand so you can also notice the way the back of the body interacts with your mat. And just notice how breath and body pulsate. And the body expands and contracts in all directions. As we work with the deep front line today, see if you can continue to feel the body expanding and contracting in all directions, not just lengthening a single muscle, but experiencing the whole body working in unison. And it's natural, it's just as natural as each breath. And just take a couple more breaths on your own to watch that pulsation. And We'll start to layer movement over our breath, under our breath, through our breath, however you want to look at it. If you'd like to listen to music today, you can hit play on the first track, and we're actually only going to stay on this very soothing track the whole time, just to help our nervous systems really relax and unwind. And so once you've done that, bring the elbows into the side body, point the fingertips up towards the sky, and notice the back of the heart. Let the shoulders walk a little bit wider and see if you can press the back of the heart and the middle of the back down into the mat. And so as you do that, you might notice that your core engages a little bit and the bottom of the pelvis might even slightly lift, really subtly, like slide a piece of paper under subtle. Try to keep that connection of upper and mid back as you push down into the elbows, down into the shoulders, and then lengthen the back of the neck and push gently downward into the base of the skull. And lessen the effort. This shouldn't feel intense. Make sure you can breathe. And Tejavan, this is for you. So make a special note of this if it feels good. And at any point, actually, let's all release the effort completely and just feel the body slightly sink and melt. And then with your next exhale, repeat the movement. And then it's up to you if you want to inhale, relax, exhale, repeat, or hold for a few breaths, release for a few breaths. So just explore that on your own. Oh, that's nice. I see a couple of you relaxing your hands on your belly in that relaxing phase, so feel free to try that if you didn't already. Good idea. And then one more movement while we're here. The next time the fingertips are up, just bring your awareness to your shoulder blades and push one shoulder blade down into the mat at a time. I just want to wake up the back of the body a little bit. And so as the right shoulder blade pushes, notice how you gently tip off to the left and vice versa. There shouldn't be any strain here. Just imagine almost like a gentle massage on the back of the body. Satyam just yawned, so I know that means that we're already getting into the parasympathetic nervous system. Good job. And then back to center. Allow the hands to release down by your sides. And without too much movement, just gently push the calves down into the chair until the pelvis hovers for that piece of paper to slide underneath, and then release. And do this a couple of times and give yourself permission to inch slightly away from the chair or inch towards the chair. Each time you lift, you might get some information from your body about what would be the optimal position. And then see if you can sync this movement up with your breath. So each exhale is a great opportunity to lift. And then the inhale, you can just soften and melt. And you don't have to do this, but my toes just happen to come to the back of the chair, and it's feeling really nice to push into the chair with my toes on that exhale, so feel free to try it. The next time the hips come down, let the right leg float up. Let it be really soft. Make some circles with the right ankle. And let that movement be soft as well. Go the opposite direction, and usually the opposite direction is our awkward direction, so see if you can find a little more smoothness here. Smoothness means you might be waking up more muscles, more muscle control. So it actually is a pretty profound effort to make. And then float the right calf down. Take one of those pulses where you push down to just hover the hips. And then hips down. Now left leg floats effortlessly. Avoid trying to extend the leg. Let it just be where your muscles are right now. And then take your circles. And switch directions, being extra conscious of slow and smooth. And then we'll repeat this a few times. So each time one leg lowers, you'll exhale to float the hips. And then inhale, hips down, switch legs. Exhale to float. Inhale to switch. And we're going to repeat this for a while. And I say that so you'll minimize your effort. Really try to find that space where it's happening almost on its own. You don't feel one certain muscle turning on. Almost as if you were doing water aerobics in like a really warm pool. Feeling very light and buoyant in the water, and just letting the gentle movement of your body through space be the therapy. Nice. Great quality of movement, everybody. And let's add on. So the next time the right leg lifts, you don't need to rush, but pause there. Reach the arms up towards the sky and bend the right knee a little bit so you feel the thigh compress towards the abdomen. And then let the abdomen compress towards the thigh. And then come back down and take a couple of pulses like this. And this is where we want the lift to happen, with the compression at the abdomen, so there's no strain in the neck and shoulders. And it might mean you only lift like a couple inches or a couple centimeters. That's fine. The next time you lower the hands, lift the leg, and this time flex the right foot and just let the back of the leg lengthen any amount that feels good. Take a couple of little windshield wipers with the right leg and just make sure that you're feeling how the leg connects into the body, right? So not your end range of motion, but feeling very supported. And the next time the right leg is at center, slowly lower it down. And we'll prepare to go the other way, starting with the hip hover. So push down into the calves, let the hips lift. Notice how the back of the shoulders can help this movement lengthen through the back of the neck. And then inhale, release the hips, extend the left leg up this time. Bend the left knee a little bit, reach the arms up. Pull thigh into body, and then let the body rise up to meet the thigh. And then lower and expand the leg. And just take a couple of these almost like hydraulic pumps with the leg, and really try to feel how the movement comes from your center. You can exhale for each lift and inhale for that softening. The next time the leg floats up, lower the arms down. Extend by lifting the heel up, letting the leg straighten any amount. It might not be very much, and that's okay. I'm really feeling it in my calf quite a bit. And start to tick-tock the leg just slightly from side to side. And imagine it's pitch black and your leg glows in the dark. And so as it goes from side to side, you see that like trail of where it's been. And just notice if that helps you become a little more conscious of the movement. If that's not helping you, don't do that, but and bring the leg to center, lower the calf. Let's do one last gentle lift, and then release the hips down and let both legs float up. Flex the feet and allow the back of the legs to unfold any amount. If it feels intense, send the legs forward a little bit so it's less in your hamstrings. Actually, let's all do that. And as the legs go forward, notice your ability to lengthen them just a little bit, and then bring them towards the body. And just for fun, the hands can float overhead. And then the legs go forward and the hands go forward with them. And I notice if I go too far, it feels a little strainy in my hips. So try to find like a happy medium. Like, can you stop yourself before you go too far? Can you just enjoy letting the limbs be supported without having to express your deepest range of motion? And then pause with the feet and the hands up and give your arms and legs a slow motion shake. Hug the knees into the chest, lift the body into the thighs, and then start to roll from one side to the other, nice and slow. We're going to repeat this for a while. I think the name of this class is going to be Repeat This for a While. And so give yourself permission to slow down, feel more. If you ever feel inspired to add something on or to pause, please, by all means. And as you roll onto one side, let the top arm slide a little bit further forward. And then feel that top shoulder retract, so pull back towards the spine to initiate the roll to the other side. And then that top side slides over, and then the shoulder retracts, and it repeats. And if this is confusing or complicated, you don't have to do this. I've just really been enjoying getting a little bit more range of motion through my scapula. And start to tune into that sensation of being weightless through the center as your momentum carries you and you don't have to use any exertion. And the real name of this class is Becoming Weightless. And so we're going to have a lot of opportunities to drop into this sensation. So just try to really bask in it right now, because it's going to be a little bit harder when we're standing, right? So can you remember what it's like to just weightlessly float through space? No agenda. Let's take one more to each side. See if you can witness your breath as you float. And the next time you roll onto your right side, we'll just call it balanced. And then gently roll onto the back. Place the soles of the feet down. Hi, Amanda, welcome. And reach the hands towards the heels. Push into the feet, let the hips lift just an inch like we've been doing with the chair, and then push into the feet to actually slide your body up a couple of inches. Place the hips back down, and we're going to repeat this very awkward inchworm. But see if you can make it not awkward. So the feet slide in towards the hips, push into the feet, slide up with the body just a couple of inches, and keep repeating. So the feet follow, and then they initiate the movement, propelling your body forward away from the chair. we're basically just trying to move away from the chair, but I really enjoyed this exploration myself. Grab behind the legs once you're at the top of your mat, and take a few rocks and rolls. Be mindful of the chair. And the next time you roll up, pause there. Place the soles of the feet to the mat, grab behind the knees, and gently pull on the legs to lengthen the spine, and just lean back a little bit and then lean to one side. You might notice how the opposite arm has to work a little harder. Lean to the other side. Make sure you're still breathing. And then lift the feet. That might be too much for your hamstrings. Place your feet on the edge of your chair and do the same thing from side to side. And this time let the knees move opposite of where the hands are. And the next time the knees go to the right, place the hands to the right, lower the shins down, and just take a gentle twist to the right. Take a few natural breaths. As the spine starts to unfurl, the head can eventually gaze to the right. And we'll take this same movement the other way, and you won't be able to see me, so just memorize this sensation. Lift the arms, roll through center, let the knees drop to the left, lower the hands to the left, and then slowly let the spine unfurl one vertebra at a time, the head and neck twist last. One natural breath cycle here, and then we'll actually just flow through those two positions just like what we did on our back. So push down into the knees, let that initiate movement towards center, and then slowly go the other way. And let's add a little bounce by planting the hands, bending the elbows like a baby push-up, and then push into the hands for the momentum, and try to find that weightless moment as you slowly go the other way. And if it ever feels like you don't have enough room with the legs, let the heels come a little further forward. I'm finding that it's more comfortable for me having a little extra space. So give yourself permission to explore. And if you want to sync this up with your breath, the push-up is a good moment to exhale, and then the inhale helps you find that weightless shift through center. And the next time you come to the right, you can pause, walk the hands over to the right, push down into the feet, and slowly bring the knees underneath you into tabletop. Bring the right knee forward, and then gently let the left hand reach forward. And then bring the left knee forward, gently let the right hand reach. This might be familiar to you if you were ever a baby. Take a few more of these crawls, and it's opposite arm and leg, but let the knee initiate, and then it's a little harder to go backwards, but same thing, let the knee initiate, and then the opposite hand just drags. And try to use as minimal effort as possible. And once your bum hits your chair, that's a good time to stop. Be mindful, there's still a chair back there. Walk forward just 1 inch, give yourself a little bit of space, and then lower the forearms onto the mat. And take a moment to sink the heart into the mat, so the scapula wing on the back body. And then push down into the elbows, feel the shoulder blades wrap, feel the back of the heart puff up, filling the space underneath the scapula. Nice. And we'll repeat this a few times. The inhale will be the melting of the heart towards the mat. The exhale will be the puffing up and expanding into the scapula. And a lot of you have already done these scapula serratus push-ups with me before. So if this is familiar, see if you can lengthen your spine at the same time that the body puffs up into the shoulder blades. Noticing what's happening beyond the shoulders. Letting the hips reach back, and maybe the tummy tightens ever so naturally and effortlessly. And then slowly lift one hand at a time. You're going to have to like circumnavigate your chair a little bit. So the left knee will slide to the left and up so you don't hit your chair. And then put the knee on the chair. So that's great. You get some glute med action as you avoid the chair. And then flex your foot just so that you're aware that you still have a foot. And gently start to push the knee and the quadricep down into the chair so the hips become weightless. And then release. And do this a couple of times on the exhale, and less is more. You don't want to overexert. We're just waking up these muscles. We'll have the opportunity to do some more challenging things later. And so each exhale, push the quad down, and just notice how the hips, the leg, the hips integrate into the core. See if you can draw the ribs into the core as you do that. Not rounding the spine, but just finding a strong neutral. I'll tuck my shirt in so it's a little easier to see that subtlety. Make sure you're breathing. And then the next time the right knee comes down, lower your right forearm and point the right fingertips towards me, so you're slowly coming through a side plank-like action. And then let the right knee slide underneath the chair, so it's like a mirror of what the left leg is doing. Yes, you guys got it. Awesome. Release the right knee down so you've got support. Actually, and release your hips for a moment just to give yourself a break. Get a little side bend here. Breathe into the ribs. And adjust the right hand, making sure that the arm and the shoulder feel supported and everything's at a comfortable angle, so you can change the angle of your arm. When we do this on the second side, you won't be able to see me, so take a moment to just look at what's actually happening in your body. And then lift your hand and start to push down into the left thigh to lift your hips. And then lower and lift, and less is more. And the next time you lift, squeeze the arm down beside the body. Option to float the right leg, but you don't have to. And then inhale to melt. If it ever becomes too much on the shoulder, lower the hips, readjust the shoulder, and don't worry about coming quite so high. We'll take a couple of pulses here, and the exhale are going to lift you. Try to feel the inner thighs squeezing and the spine lengthening as you lift. Make sure you can breathe. Last one. And then release the bottom leg down. Lower the left leg on top and slowly push up so you can get a nice side bend on that right side of the body. Tent the fingertips. Take a couple of breaths. Gaze over to the left just to stretch the right side of the neck. And then inch away from your chair. Cross the left leg over the right and slowly start to twist to the left. Just giving all the muscles that were working so hard to lift you a little stretch. And then slowly come to center. Let the right leg unfurl. Bring the left heel into the center and right hand to knee. Lift the left arm, bend the right knee a little bit, and just slowly melt over to the right. Let the heart point down towards the knee a little bit, and then allow the heart to open, and just take some gentle rolls, massaging through the left side of the body. And then bend the knee a little bit more, kick into the right heel, and very slowly float up. As you float up, let the right arm be free, opening it to a big bowl shape, and hover for a moment in this suspended state. Take a couple of breaths. And then allow the arms to melt down, and we'll go through the same thing on the second side. So bring the knees in front of you, roll to the right, hands underneath shoulders, and find your way into table. And then crawl back until you're about an inch in front of your chair. Now the right knee hugs in towards the abdomen, open off to the side, avoiding the chair, lift the knee behind you, and then set it down on the chair. It's a very interesting circumnavigation. And then start to push down into the right quad. And don't worry about doing anything with the left leg just yet. As you push down, notice how you can neutralize your pelvis and lengthen the spine. So you don't want to arch, you don't want to round, you just want to be able to find more like a very strong integrated neutral. And then release the effort and do this a couple of times, exhaling each time you push down and then inhaling as you soften. And then you have the opportunity to start to float the left knee as that feels appropriate. It just might naturally lift. You don't have to hug it in or anything. And the next time you set the left knee down, we'll be turning away from me, remember. So the left forearm comes down. Slowly start to point the left hand at an angle so it's more comfortable to stack the weight onto left elbow, left shoulder, and then roll onto the right inner thigh. So the right leg is supporting you, right hand comes up. Take a deep, natural breath in. Push down into the left elbow so you've got some extra support in that shoulder. As you exhale, lift the left knee, squeeze the right arm down into the body, and then inhale to soften. And exhale to lift. And take some pulses on your own. And know at any time if this feels uncomfortable or overexerting, you can lower that left hip and just take that upward posture that stretches the left side of your body. And each time you lift, notice the sensation of the inner thighs hugging, and the inner thighs actually connect up into the pelvic floor, all the way up around the internal organs to the diaphragm. Beyond that, up the throat into the tongue. And so as the thighs squeeze and you lift, see if you can feel the whole body lengthen all the way to the soft palate. And the next time you lower down, pause there, slowly lower the left hip down, let the right leg stack onto the left, prop yourself up on the left side, just getting a nice like J shape with the spine for a moment. Take a couple of breaths. And then inch away from your chair. This time the right leg is going to cross over the left. Natural twist to the right for Urdhva Matsyendrasana. Just letting that right side of the body lengthen, letting everything ring out. Notice how the breath helps you pulsate in this still pose. And then gently turn towards center. Let the left leg unfurl wide to the left. Right heel comes to midline. We're setting up for Parvrita Jana Shirshasana. Bring the left hand to the right knee. So you're twisting towards the chair. Float the right hand up, bend the left knee, and just start to melt over to the left. Let each inhale help you become a little more buoyant and light. And as you exhale, soften over the left leg. Really breathing through into the right side of the rib cage, the right side body. And then start to point the heart down towards the knee. And then up towards the front wall or the sky. And again, just imagine you're massaging that right side of the body from the inside out. And the next time the heart is facing forward, push down into the legs, slowly rise up. Let the left arm become free. Let it float up and just pause for a moment at the middle. Take a couple of breaths. Let the shoulders be as soft as possible. And then release the hands down. Bend the left knee and roll to the left so you're facing the screen again. Push into the left hand, push down into the left knee, and let the right foot express itself outwardly for a modified Parigasana. So the right toes are mostly out, same angle as the thigh. And we're going to do a little test here. Inch the right foot over, and then come into your stretch, whatever that might be, and then come out just a couple of inches. And that coming out of the stretch actually engages the deep front line. And so pause there and just notice any sense of the legs hugging towards one another and this lengthening of the spine that I've talked about. And now bring your arms to a T and take a couple of pulses and just notice if that same musculature can help keep you light and supported. Anchor into that right heel. If you want to add the arms in, as you float to center, the arms can come up, and then you can exhale into the movement. And the goal is not to go into our deepest stretch, but rather to almost like avoid those last 2 inches and keep everything integrated. And this is where we're the most buoyant, we're the most supported. The next time you bend the knee, place the right hand down, lift the left arm straight up, and breathe through the left side of the body. If you want, just like we did in Janu Shirshasana, you can point the heart down and point the heart up, or you can just stay in the side bend. Just make sure as you're rotating here that the low back feels supported. At any point, if it feels like too much, try coming back up and going into that lifting 2 inches out of your movement and see if that provides more support. And then come back to center, lift both arms, bring the right leg underneath you, and imagine there's a wall in front of you. Drag your hands down the wall, feel the shoulder blades pulling down against the wall, and just let the front of the body open. Breathe into the front of the body. Keep the neck relaxed, which might mean looking forward. And then we'll go the other side. So step the left foot out. And of course you can adjust how far out it is at any time, but usually where you just step it is the right spot. And so now come into the stretch, almost in like a little bit of a lazy way, like, oh, okay, I'm just there. And now come 2 inches out and notice what supports you to do that. And you're even welcome to do that a couple of times so that you can really feel that really subtle engagement of the muscles we've been talking about, the inner thighs, the pelvic floor, all the way up into the diaphragm. And then once you've found that, you can start to float in and out of the movement. And let's do the arms a little differently. As we exhale, allow the arms to drop, and then inhale, let them float weightlessly. So you get that hang time, right? Just that moment where everything is effortless and weightless. The name of the song is Weightless, but that's just a coincidence. And the next time the knee bends, pause there, left hand to thigh, float the right hand up, push down into the right knee, and let the whole right side of the body lengthen evenly. And then option to point the heart down and point the heart up. And keep trying to feel that subtle lifting and support that comes all the way up from the feet. And the next time you're up, shift the weight into the right knee. Bring the left knee underneath you, hands on the invisible wall, and slowly drag the hands down to let the whole front of the body open. And then release the hands down and step one foot in front of you. You can use your getting out of the pool muscles to slowly push down to lift the other leg. And just go for a little walk around your space and see if you notice any sense of that subtle engagement in this deep front line. Any sense of, it's really why ballerinas have like amazing posture. So maybe you feel kind of like a ballerina or ballerino. And notice how the feet connecting to the earth provides the support, provides the lift all the way up. Inner thighs, pelvic floor. It's like the whole body cavity into the diaphragm, even up into the tongue. Sometimes pressing the tongue into the roof of the mouth can get a little more length in this team of muscles. And then make your way back to the mat, but you don't have to rush. Feel free to grab a sip of water. Okay, our next weightless experience is going to be playing with a waving vinyasa, which all of you have done, except maybe Tejavan, but you'll catch on quickly, on a chair. And because we're using the chair, imagine like this movement is just a little bit easier than a plank pose, right? And so we'll get to experience just having a little bit more lightness through our vinyasa experience. And I'll talk you guys through it. So we'll start in our chair down dog. So place the hands on the edge of the chair and walk the feet out until you can feel the arms and shoulders flexing. And then push into the hands to send the hips straight back or maybe slightly up and back. And so this is our down dog. You can wag the tail a little bit, letting the weight shift from foot to foot. And just check in with your shoulders here. It's actually quite deep shoulder flexion, and gravity takes you a little deeper than you go when your hands are on the floor. So make sure your shoulders feel supported. And you can even almost resist gravity a little bit, just lifting the back of the heart into the scapula like you did in those serratus push-ups earlier. And make sure all four legs of your chair are on your mat, because that will help it not slide. So now lift the heels, push down into the balls of the feet, and start to round the spine like cat pose. So you're in like a puffed up position. Slowly start to roll all the way forward until the shoulders are over the wrists. So you're in the puffy plank moment of the waving vinyasa. And then push down into your chair. Let the heart start to reach forward and up. The hips might lower a little bit. And so here's our back bend moment. Keep the elbows springy. And then bend the knees, push into the hands to re-enter down dog. And so let's take a couple at your own pace. Inhaling each time you roll forward. And exhaling as you push back. And as you repeat this, see if you can start to feel that little support, subtle, rising up, inner thighs, gentle hugging towards one another. Notice if that helps you not only lengthen the spine, but support it very, very deeply. Great job, everybody. Take one more. And we'll all meet in our modified down dog. Bend the knees really, really generously when you're there. And then release one hand at a time, either to the legs or the floor, whatever is most comfortable. And just let the spine melt for a moment. Let the legs support the body as it drips out of the hips. And then shift the weight back into the heels. Heavy sits bones, so the knees bend a little bit more. Push down into the feet. Squeeze inner thighs just a little bit. And play with stacking one vertebra at a time. And you can always use your hands for extra support. You don't want to feel any strain anywhere in your body as you do this. Great job. Turn towards probably the screen. Step the feet a little wider than the hips. Jump to the right a little bit so you got some more room. Actually, that was fun. And then jump to the left. The deep front line actually participates in bouncing and jumping. So only do this if it feels good. But clearly I'm enjoying this a lot. So, and the side to side actually is a big part of it because it takes the inner thighs. Right? There's like a little coordination there. Okay, my legs are getting pretty tired. Are yours? Okay, so find a space where you've got at least a couple feet between you and the chair. And come to stillness and just notice any tingling. The little bouncing is so powerful. It's a big deal. So enjoy it, soak it up. And then bend the knees. Send the weight into the heels as if you were about to like catch something heavy. Get ready to receive the thing. And then here you go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And catch. Okay, good. You guys are all with me. I love it. So keep the weight in the heel. Start to push into the right foot, letting the right leg extend. And allow the right leg to just inch out a little bit as you do that. And then same thing, other side. So kick into the left leg, bend the right knee, let the left leg extend, and then let that inch out a little bit. Repeat this a couple times on your own. You don't have to inch the foot out. Maybe you're already at your perfect leg length, but sometimes your body like wants just that little extra space. So give yourself some time to explore that. And once you've found a good distance where you feel like strong, supple, you can move really well, but it's interesting, come to center. Bring the heels in so that the toes turn out any amount. It doesn't have to be intense. And then play with bending the knees and just make sure this is comfortable in your knees and your hips. If it's not, let the toes point forward a little bit more. So take a couple of test bends, change the direction of your feet till you find a place where you're like, oh yeah, this feels great on my ankles. It feels supported on my knees and supported in my hips. Okay. Great. You guys look awesome. So from this position, come to neutral. And then just like in Parigasana, we're not going to go we're going to go into our stretch, and then we're going to come out 2 inches, right? And so do that on your own a couple of times, and notice the action of coming out 2 inches. And it's usually the deep front line, these muscles in the inner thighs, these huge muscles, and then these very subtle muscles in the pelvic floor are the ones that help. And they connect all the way up along the spine. So we can use this coming out 2 inches to actually lengthen the spine and get more support in the core. Play with that. A couple of repetitions. And then the next time you're out 2 inches, pause there. Arms to T like a big bird. And start to flap your wings. And as the arms flap down, let the hips just hover 2 more inches. And then sink into your supported hip opener. Just take a couple pulses. I have to try it with my breath. You can do either one. I like exhaling into it because then I can really feel these muscles of my deep front line staying engaged and supported as they lengthen a little bit. And the next time you're in the movement, turn everything to the left and let the right leg unfold for Virabhadrasana 2. Take a breath here. And then slowly start to reach to the left. Lower the left hand and slice the right arm forward, just lengthening through the right side of the body. Natural breath in. As you exhale, flip the left palm up and slowly lift it. Each inhale, the hand will drop, and each exhale, see if you can feel the thighs hugging the spine, lengthening, and then everything reaching and becoming weightless. So the inhale softens you, and the exhale is that lift and length. And the next time the hand lowers, pause there, and let's just take one of those nice shearing actions to soften and massage through all the muscles that we're just working so hard. And the next time the right arm starts to come down, lift the right heel. Bounce on the right foot so that you can turn the hips down without any strain. So the stance is going to get shorter. And then bring your hands to your magical chair. Step back into your weightless plank and then push back into down dog. And remember, try to resist how gravity pulls the heart down so that you don't hyper flex the shoulders. So make sure the shoulders are wrapping and you're lifting up into the scapula. And then bend the knees, lift the heels, push into the balls of the feet, start to round the spine forward into your up dog. Option to add a weightless chaturanga, and I'll tell you how to do that if you want to try it. Bend the elbows and start to neutralize the spine out of your back bend, and then push strongly into the hands to go back into down dog. So we'll take a few more waves. Remember, the inhale is forward. And then the exhale, optional chaturanga. And then you push back into down dog. And the next time you're in down dog, pause there. Bend the knees really deeply. Walk the hands down to the earth. Walk them in towards the feet. Melt over the legs. And then heavy pelvis. Slowly roll up with or without support of the hands. Okay. Turn to face me. You don't need to rush to come up. We'll be doing the same thing on the second side, and you'll have the option to do the vinyasa with the hands on the floor just to see what it feels like to not have the chair. But if you like the chair, you'll just be able to switch sides and go back to the chair. So start by finding your straddle, shifting from foot to foot. And let's add in, once you've found your straddle, we'll add in a modified skandasana. So bend the left knee, let the left sit bone come towards the left heel, and just float the hands back as you bow over that knee. And then push into the left leg, coming up into star pose, and then we'll go the other way. And see if you can use the muscles that we've talked about to keep your body supported as you float down into skandasana. I think so often people just try to go really deep, and they stretch really deeply without any support. And so make sure that you're feeling this lifting from the inner thighs up into the pelvic floor all the way along the spine. And the next time you're bending into the left knee, we'll prepare for Virabhadrasana 2. And so start to push into the left leg, sending your momentum up and to the right, turn the toes to the right, and float your arms to a T. Take one moment just to pause in Vira 2, again, noticing any sense of support from these deep inner layers. Maybe you feel a little lighter. And then right hand to thigh, float the left arm long. Option to inch the right foot out a little bit if you want to. And then as you exhale, the bottom arm floats. And inhale, melt it down. And it's up to you, but as the bottom arm floats, you can play with coming a little deeper into bending the knee. You can play with coming out of it a little bit. Notice, this is going to help actually activate our deep core as we float the arm. Notice what your body's craving. Does it want more lift and support, or does it want that deep stretch in a hopefully very safe and supported way? And the next time you're in the movement, place the right hand down and just add a little bit of that shearing. It's interesting, the shearing movements help with these outer layers of our body, and as they soften and release their tension, the deep front line can actually engage a little bit more. And so these movements are very connected and intertwined. Okay, so now you've got an option. If you want to try vinyasa on the floor, you'll pivot to the left and place your hands to either side of the right foot. If you love using the chair, take a big swirl to the left, plant your hands on the chair. So wherever you are, we'll meet in our version of down dog. And then push into the feet. Slowly roll forward. If you're trying it on the floor, see if you can maintain that same weightlessness. No need to overexert. See how light you can stay as you inhale through up dog. And then if you want to try chaturanga in either example, the elbows bend, the spine neutralizes, and then you push into the hands to go straight back into down dog. And that's what keeps it nice and safe. You're welcome to pause at any time and take a resting pose like Bhaktasana or Balasana, or you can play with a couple more vinyasa at your own pace. If you're on the floor, I recommend dropping the knees and taking a Bhaktasana. If you are on the chair, you can lower the knees and just relax for a kneeling Bhaktasana. Oh no, this is too much like being sick. I'm sorry. You don't have to do that if it doesn't feel comfortable. You can just take a normal Bhaktasana. Sometimes improvising works and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so we're all in a nice Bhaktasana on the floor. And tent the fingertips, shift the weight back into the heels. Slowly roll up. We have time for one more thing, and I'm scanning and deciding what the one thing is going to be. Okay, I'm going to demo what I've been playing with. And it's not gonna, it might not be for everyone, but I think we're really warmed up for it, and I think it might be for many of you. And we have the chair, which is so helpful. So I've really been enjoying using the chair as a way to activate my core a little bit more when I'm doing inversions. And so if you feel comfortable with your hips above your shoulders, even this movement is a really great way to strengthen the shoulders and the core. And then to come a little further into what I'm calling like a scorpion prep pose. The one thigh stays on the chair and I'm driving down with it so that I'm feeling really engaged and integrated. But then within that scope of strength, I can lift the other leg. And I'm quite flexible, so this leg could go a lot further if I wasn't engaged and strong. But it's a really fun way to find where your flexibility and your strength intersect. So that's one thing that you can play with. If you're like, yeah, I'm good, I don't want to do that. I really restorative alternative is to come back to the beginning and to play with just lifting the sacrum and letting it rock from side to side. And both of the things that I shared are like two of my favorite things, so you can't go wrong. I'll watch you guys. Dana, if it's comfortable, and actually Angeli too, I think walk the forearms closer to the chair so that it's a little bit easier to feel like your hips are moving towards the shoulders, but it doesn't have to be intense. And then one leg drives down. Nice. Yeah, your alignment looks so great there. And just make sure you can breathe. And nice. And if it's comfortable, Angeli, see if you can flatten the arms and then gaze in between them. So this is an extension of the spine kind of pose. Yes. There you go. Nice. Great. And when you feel like you've gotten enough there, actually, I mean, take your time, but we can all meet in the calves on the chair pose. Oh, yeah, Dana, I thought you were going to like magically swivel right into it. That was cool. Almost. Okay. So for those of you that were playing with scorpion, your posture, the ones that I could see, looked really supportive and not like too deep of a back bend or straining in any way. But it can still be nice to just have a little counter pose, just letting the thighs come in towards the body. At this point, you don't have to lift your body, but you can if that would feel nice. And then allow the calves to return to the chair. And let's revisit that trapezius stretch from the beginning. So fingertips towards the sky, elbows into the body, lengthen the back of the neck, and then start to press the back of the heart and the mid back down into the mat. You don't want it to arch here. Take a natural breath in. And when the exhale arrives, just start to push elbows, shoulders, back of neck, mid back into the mat, and just take a couple of breaths. And then release the effort and bring a little extra consciousness into the calves. Let the sacrum hover, push down into the shoulders, and just gently sway your hips from side to side. And if you've already been exploring this, you can instead come into legs up the wall. And so you can just rest the calves as they are, or you can play with soles of feet together and letting the knees come a little bit wider in this supported position. And I'm surprised by how awesome this feels. So if you're still swaying your hips, bring the sacrum down eventually. Bring soles of feet together and let the knees float wide. What I really love about this is the hips are so supported that they can relax, at least for me, a lot more deeply than when my feet are on the ground. It's okay if the feet separate. I would rather that you guys be able to relax more musculature. Can even, if your chair is the right shape, hook your feet around the back of the chair. Basically, you want to just be able to relax as much as possible. And just take a couple more breaths. And slowly allow the feet to melt down to the earth. And we'll return to everyone's favorite pose, the awkward inchworm. So push into the feet, lift the hips, and slowly slide one shoulder up and then the other. And then slide the feet up and push one shoulder and then the other. And that's helped making it not quite as awkward. And once you've got some space from your chair, we can go into our weightless rolls from the beginning. And now that you perhaps have experienced your deep front line a little bit more, see if you can notice that sensation of the inner thighs connecting up into the pelvic floor and how it allows this movement to happen so effortlessly, where the legs stay connected to the body. You don't really have to think about it. There's just that natural integration. And then next time you roll to your left, pause on the left side. The beginning of class we pushed up from the right side, so just to keep it balanced, push down into the right hand, slowly prop yourself up. And then roll the knees to the right so you're facing the screen. And you can sit in a chair because you've got one very conveniently placed, or you can grab a cushion. I find when I do deep frontline work, I'm amazed by how comfortable my meditation seat is, so I'm excited for you guys to experience that. If you did play any music, you can pause it now. Feel free to grab a sip of water. Okay, I know it's crazy because you're setting up for meditation, but before you come into stillness, I kind of want you to go for one more walk, just to feel the quality of movement that is available. So, unless you're opposed to it, come to standing. This is a hilarious shot right now. I'm still here, hey guys. And just start to walk around your space and let it be really slow. And notice any sense of feeling supported. If you would like to walk faster, you can, but I want that to be a conscious choice and not just a default. And start connecting with your breath flow, and then try to relax and walk a little more naturally if you're doing anything sort of like weird and robotic. And just let the arms naturally swing. And start to sense your pelvis floating through space, and just imagine it being completely effortless, like nothing's pulling in any direction. It's just gliding and hovering. And for the last moments of our walking, just notice your spine and notice what your posture is like right now. Notice the sensation of your shoulder girdle resting on your axial skeleton, and any freedom in the front of the heart, the back of the heart. Notice the weight of your head, or maybe the lack of too much weight. And then start to walk back to your mat. And now you can set up on a chair or a cushion. As you come towards your seat, I think it's a little harder to notice in stillness, but see if any qualities that you discovered on your little walk, if you can feel them in your meditation seat. A support from the legs, a balance in the pelvis, space between each vertebra, softness in the neck and shoulders. And then allow the physical body to just dissolve. It's no longer our focal point. And let the breath become at the forefront of your awareness. And a cue I gave a lot in class today was noticing in the breath the ability to lengthen and subtly strengthen. And on the inhale, to let yourself soften and expand, which might be a little different than how we look at the breath sometimes. And so, as you watch each exhale, notice any sense of that deep support. Yes, physical, deep front line, but even deeper than that, an inner anchor. And if that is soothing and useful to you, you can keep focusing on that inner anchor. You're also welcome to bring awareness to your natural inhale as well. And notice how the inhale helps you become very spacious, not just physically, though that's true. And it's like there's more receptivity for prana, our vital life force, to soak into the spaces between the cells, the space and the atoms, and the space between the space. And you're welcome to sync any mantra you've been using. I'm really feeling the Om Namah Shivaya mantra right now. Maybe I heard you doing it, Anjali. So feel free to join me in syncing Om Namah Shivaya to each inhale, each exhale. And just like our physical practice woke up more and more invisible support, lightness, strength. Imagine that each repetition of the mantra is doing the same thing energetically. Providing this deep inner nourishment, safety net, buoyancy. And you're welcome to stay upright for as long as you wish. And you're also welcome to relax completely in Shavasana. And whatever position you're in, you can just imagine the physical body softening into the background. And you're welcome to stay with the breath. And you can let that soften too if you'd like. And let the mind soften. And notice what is left. And it's okay if you're not sure. In the yogic tradition, the layer beyond all of the things I just named is our pure consciousness, our individual soul. And so you can just keep your awareness at the heart center and just harmonize with that very deep layer of your being. as the many layers of your being come back into your awareness. Try to stay connected to that deepest place that you've unearthed in your practice. And then witness the thoughts, the breath, the physical body without losing the awareness of what lies beyond all of that. And take all of those layers with you as you make gentle movements and find your way to a comfortable seat. And we'll meet with hands at heart. You can bow, just honoring that deepest part of yourself where we are all united. Thank you so much for sharing this practice. So great to see you, or know that you're here if I couldn't see you. We did a lot of kind of experimental things because they've been feeling so good in my practice. So I would love to hear one word, if you feel up for it, in the chat box of if you felt anything that was, I don't know, it can just be how you feel right now, and you don't have to. But if you're feeling brave, you can type a word in the scary chat box. Tongue! You discovered your tongue. Isn't the tongue exciting once you feel how it connects to everything else? Yay. It helps. It helps in so many things. Handstanding, slacklining, the tongue. The tongue too.
Just before you said it, I was like, oh wow, I'm really pressing my tongue up against the roof of my mouth. And then you said it, and I was like, I'm doing that, I feel it. It was really, really
Wow.
cool connection. Yeah.
Amazing. That's the best when it comes from the inside and then the information just affirms what you've discovered. Cool.
Cool. That was awesome class. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And depth and creative pelvic exploration. Yeah. I could call the class that, but it might attract different kinds of energies. I don't know.
That's funny.
Thank you, thank you. Have a great trip, Amanda. We'll miss you on Thursday, but I know you'll be there in spirit.
Yeah, I'll be doing yoga in my wall tent in the middle of the mountains in 20-degree weather. It's gonna be great.
Sounds amazing and also terrifying. Amazing. Thanks for coming. Bye, Mom. And I'm glad you feel nourished, Tammy.
You're like, I was too dark. I had to get some lights. I couldn't see.
Totally. Well, I love getting to see you at the end.
And the tongue I've definitely been finding lately too, that just really helps with my balance too. That just really
Oh,
way there.
awesome. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing. Yeah, it's who would have thunk it? And Angeli, I don't know if you're still there. You might be frozen, but great to see you. Bye, Tammy.
Thanks, love. Aloha.
Aloha. How do you feel?